Hi, good afternoon and welcome to episode 9 of Toria's Cozy Toes. Today is Friday the 6th of June and I'm Vicky. I'm a knitter and a crocheter living in Derby in the United Kingdom. So thank you to anyone who's a new subscriber and welcome to anyone who's not found me before. I hope you like what you see. I'm going to say it now, so don't forget, if you do like the podcast, please do subscribe to the channel, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps get my YouTube channel out there with a wider audience. So I'm going to follow pretty much normal format I follow, but to talk about the things I've finished over the last few weeks, including one that's a bit of an epic fail, unfortunately. The whips I've been working on, I've just thought I've not got one out, but I'll get out in a second. The things I've started and nearly finished some of them, and then some plans and a bit of a giveaway type competition-y type. It's not a competition at all, actually. Giveaway with a chance for you to make a decision on what I work on over the next month or two. So yeah, that's where we're going. So first of all, it's 3 weeks ago since I recorded, and when I recorded last time I was working on the Flourish socks, which is a pattern by Helen Stewart. It's part of season 6 of the Secret Handmade Sock Society. I have a finished sock. Unfortunately I couldn't find the sock blocker, so I have 2 finished socks. So yes, this is also a finished sock. I'm just going to put my hand in this one though, so you can actually see how beautiful this lace comes out. I know I talked about it last time. This yarn is from Blue Fern yarns, and I had the, I had the label a minute ago before I pressed record. I have got a little bit left, so this is what I've got left. I'm wondering if it's over this side. Yes, I just found it. And it's called Blackberry's Heart. So it's Blue Fern yarns, Blackberry's Heart, and these were my May socks. So for those who are new, my goal is to knit 2 pairs of socks a month, one pair being an adult pair, which is the Flourish ones, and the second pair being a child's pair. The idea being that I use the same yarn for both and use up as much as possible of my yarn. At the end of last year I put together a box with 12 project bags in, each with a different yarn in. There's a Halloween project bag, which my intention is to pick in October. There's a couple of Christmassy bags, one of which will be July and the other December. So I finished the Flourish socks before I went on holiday. As I said, I went away 2 weeks ago now for a week. I didn't take the kiddie socks with me because I only just finished the adult ones, because I was away with my younger niece and the kiddie socks are for her and I didn't want her to know what I was doing. So we do have one child sock, and considering these are supposed to be my May socks, I finished this last night. I haven't sewn the last of the ends in, but we have 2 pair of children's socks. For these I've done the cuffs and the heels in a contrast yarn just because I was a bit worried about the amount of the main yarn, and I've actually used one, it's called Frosted Berries and it's from Little Likac yarns. It was a special colourway she did, I want to say Christmas 23. I know Amanda has dyed it since and had been selling it. I think it's a beautiful colour. I have got a pair of socks for me in that colourway. So yes, so we have my May socks. I'll do that. And as I say, my last one's just a little bit sad because I couldn't find a blocker. There's been a little bit of chaos down the corner where I keep things and I think it's fallen out. So that's my first finished objects. So those are the 2 of my finished objects. If you've watched before, you may remember I said I really wanted to get a cardigan finished to wear on holiday. So the good news is, yes, I got the cardigan finished. I think last time you saw it, I was on the button bands and I hadn't sewn anything up. Unfortunately, so we have, let me put it on because it's easier to see it on, a cardigan. Does not go with this dress at all. However, the style, it is just ended up absolutely mahoosive. I know it's not on properly, but if I put the shoulders on properly, it almost wraps around me there. It's come up massive. I did wear it a little bit on holiday. It's lovely and squishy, but it really does not. If I stand up, you can see it looks absolutely massive. Sorry, doesn't do anything for me. I love the cardigan. I'm knowing what I'm going to do. One option would be to basically make an extra seam inside here and make it smaller. I could quite easily do that. It would work reasonably well. Yeah, I'd end up chopping a load off and I'm not sure. My other option, and it's kind of where my head's going, but I'm not sure at the moment. Sorry, I'm just going to take it off because it really doesn't go with this dress, is to rip it out and frog the whole thing. Put the up to one side, and then I'm thinking something like the Daft Days cardigan, where I could use the grey as the main and stripe the colours in. I'm not sure. At the moment, it's just going to sit in the naughty corner for a bit because I can't deal with the mental side of it. However, if you've got ideas about what I could do, please let me know. The one thing I say is don't say try and felt it, because it's superwash merino and the grey is merino cotton, so it ain't gonna felt. I know that much. So that's what I finished. So I'm just going to pause while I grab the whip that I forgot. Right, found it. So I've worked on 3 of my whips since I last saw you. 2 of them you've seen before, and the other one is actually an old whip. So the ones you've seen before, you've seen the hexagons that I'm making for my hexagon blanket. I have actually blocked, and they're all in this bag here, January's. And I've started on February's. I've done one colour of February's, which things I didn't take them away. It's not been a priority. I'm quite happy with. Want to work a bit more, get the rest of the colours of February done. I think I'm probably going to say there's 4 colours more to do. If I can get all 4 of those done by the time I record next, I'll be really happy. If I get any more done, I'll be ecstatic. But let's set a small goal of 4 more colours by the time I record. So that's first whip. Second whip, it's grown quite a lot. So you may remember seeing my Musselburgh hat. Last time you saw it, I was at the yellow marker. So the red marker, which says doofus, is actually the top of the crown, bottom of the crown. And so the yellow Muppet marker is where I was. So I've actually done a reasonable amount. I did quite a lot of this on holiday actually, because it was really good beach knitting. Because I could just sit on the beach and knit. There was no compulsion to do anything. If I had to get up and do something with the girls, it was easy to put down. So as you can see, I've just moved now the yellow marker. So it's where I am today. However, I'm not sure when this is going to get worked on next. It has been my handmade project, mixed with Katie's socks this week. And so it's my handmade project today and didn't get touched. There's stuff going on which I'll go into in life a bit more with work. So, and as I say, because I'm doing my monthly socks, I will be looking at starting my June socks. Now I've finished Katie's. I only finished those last night and wasn't winding wool last night. So that's the first 2 of my whips. I'm just going to pop these down here while I find the 3rd one. Sorry, everything is down on the floor today because there's just no space. So this is an old long-standing whip. It's not even on Ravelry. However, I think I started it last year. I said in my last podcast about one of the physios I work with at a special needs school is expecting her first child, and I wanted to get something done made for her. And I'm next seeing her in towards the end of June. So I said I think I mentioned I'd got a couple of whips and I was looking at getting one of those out to work on. And this is the one I've chosen. So this is the burrito blanket. So you can just see the blanket there. It's a circular blanket. The pictures in this book are not great. So I'm just going to try and cover up as much of the pattern as I can to show you the picture there. And as I say, it's in this crochet book. And as you can see, I picked it up dead cheap. I think it was Aldi I bought it in. But anyway, it was £3. I've made this blanket several times. I can't complain at a £3 blanket that I've used multiple times. So here it is. I'm using a 5mm crochet hook for this blanket. So show the right side, helps. So this is the start of the blanket. Come back a bit. This marker here is where I'd got to. Why I'd put this down, I honestly do not know. Yeah, if I knew why I'd stopped working on this and put it down, well, we'd all be psychic, wouldn't we? Just going to move the marker progress, keep it to where I am now. Sorry, the sheep is actually my live stitch. So yeah, I have got a deadline on this, and I'm going to be honest, it might be photos as I'm showing you next time, because of when I need to pass it over. So the yarn I'm using for this, sorry, I've not gone into the yarns for anything today. I've whizzed through things, haven't I? I'll go back. So the yarn I'm using for this is a big ball of Aldi 400 grams DK. I honestly, the label, I've had it years. It's some very deep stash. If I use it up in this, I may well just make the blanket bigger to use this up. So yeah, this is some Aldi DK yarn, just using up some old stash. It's 100% acrylic, which for somebody who, I don't know how much knowledge she has of yarns and wool and for washing, I think is a great idea. So yeah, as I say, I've whizzed through and not told you about the yarns I was using for the other things. So to go back to my other two whips, the hexagons are the monthly mystery mini skeins from Mousewitch yarns, and I'm using the February colourways at the moment. As I say, they are part of the winter set, so the idea is I will do each month and have a blanket made out of those. The gradient hat is a gradient cake from Rosies Moments that was bought. It was bought in the reduced, and I think I've found out why. Because although the first two colours faded beautifully, there is very much a definitive cut-off between the two colours 2 and 3, and there was a knot as well. So, but then it was in the reduced. It wasn't a lot of money for hand-dyed yarn. I'm not going to complain. So yeah, I've been a bit cast on happy since I saw you last. Well, I haven't. I've tried to be a bit restrained with it. That hasn't necessarily worked, but I have tried to be a little bit restrained with casting on. So, the first thing, I did say about last time, and unfortunately I've not got the buttons for it yet. So this is a little Wowligan cardigan. It's a Kate Davies design. You can just see the owls made out of the cables there. These are all supposed to have button eyes, and obviously some buttons to fasten the cardigan. So this is for my friend who I did the grey and white blanket for, who's now very nearly due. So plan is to get some buttons for that. Now I did order some buttons on eBay, these ones. However, when you hold them against the cardigan, they're too small for the owl eyes. So I've ordered some different ones. I am going with blue eyes. So again, this will probably, it might be gifted by next one, might not be. But that, I did most of this. I did the sleeves. I think I'd cast on the bottom before I left to go on holiday. So I did the rest of it while I was away, which was great. So that's, as I say, waiting for some buttons. Now this is all in King Cole Cotton Soft, and this is colourway called Orchid. I've used 2 balls of the orchid. Well, no, I haven't quite used 2 balls. From 2 balls of the orchid, that's what I have left after I did the cardigan and the next thing I'm going to show you that I cast on. As I say, I'm using 100% cotton because it goes in the washing machine. If kiddies are ill, it doesn't matter. It is a slightly thicker yarn you're supposed to use for the cardigan So I did adapt it slightly because I was aware that it was going to come up a little bit big because it's a thicker, heavier yarn. So I have done, believe it or not, I did the 6 months measurements round. However, my length is for the 12 months. On the basis it was going to come up a bit big. Do you know what? She'll grow into it. If she's been born in the summer, a nice cardigan ready for the next spring is ideal. Winter, spring would be perfect. Was my thinking on that. So that's what I've done with that one. I then cast on another item for it. I know I mentioned this last time. And that was, I was going to show you like that, the Ruby Elephant. Pattern was from Ravelry. It was a paid for pattern, but as I say, I know she absolutely loves elephants. It's another pattern that asks for sport weight yarn. So it's Lesbian Cascade Superwash Sport. Sorry, I'm trying to read it at the same time. Yeah. Again, I want it to be washable. So I'm doing it in Cotton Soft, which is why I said that you can see I've used some of the same colours for the cardigan around the edging here. I don't want to give away the numbers or anything on the pattern, but it's fairly obvious from what you can see that you start, you do this pink, and you are working in. So you can see I have a nice square. Yeah, I'm working decreases. Got quite a bit of way to go before I work. Well, I'll work decreases and then I'll work the head. This is all in Cotton Soft. So obviously you've got the pink colour is the orchid that matches the cardigan, which is what I say, this was the leftovers of the second ball, which is what I've got a bit left of. The white, and then this is silver. So the white and silver match the other blanket that I made. I didn't edge that in this because I felt it was a bit bright just for a small edging. So yeah, got a way to go on that, but I have cast that on. It was great last night on Zoom using this with some friends. It's ideal for that sort of knitting because I say it is just round and decrease. So I suspect it will go to knit groups. I'd really like to get back to knit groups because yeah, shit's gone on it recently. I've not made many, but my goal is to try and make some over the next few weeks. So that's that one. I've got one more cast on. You may remember, if you've watched before, you know about the bit of the saga of the cardigan for my mum. And that she'd seen this, not quite just a jumper. My mum had seen this jumper, she really wanted it. And asked if I'd make it. So, and as I said, while we were away together, it was an ideal time to sort of do a bit of start work on it, have a look. Sorry, it's now all tangled because I haven't touched this since I came back from holiday for very good reasons. So what you can see, if I untangle it a bit, this is the back of a jumper. Yeah, should feel right size wise. You can just see we've got the start of these colours. So these are the bodies of the wise men. I actually had to put it away on holiday because I just couldn't concentrate on the chart with the kids and everything going on. Since then I've drawn out my own chart, which looks very basic, and it is, but the idea is this is the intarsia I'm going to use onto the jumper. I'm then going to duplicate stitch most of the details. So I'm just going to intarsia the 3 colours on the back, and then I'll duplicate stitch the rest. Ideally, I really need to get this back out and work on it a bit more. Hopefully, yeah, I might get it out this weekend actually and work on it a bit. Start to work towards getting the back done, because that'd be quite nice to have the back done and start on front and look at the front, work out what I'm going to do, etc. So that's where we are with that one. So those are the 3 things I've cast on. Just 3, and one, as I say, the only reason it's not finished is I haven't got the buttons for it, so it's not too bad. So we come to what am I planning on working on? Well, my head's sort of a bit exploded, wanting to go all over the shit. over the shop, going, could do this, could do that, could do the other. However, as I said, I'm pulling a sock yarn each month. So I did pull out my sock yarn. And I pulled out, the one I put away and pulled out is this one. So it's, I don't know, it's from, don't even know if they're dyeing anymore. Isn't it Nottingham? And that's the colourway. As I say, I think I got this from someone's D-stash. It's not going to be vanilla because, as I say, I'm not a big fan of vanilla. But I'm thinking of just doing quite a simple broken rib pattern. Probably quite a big size as well, because it is quite a male yarn, so it'd go quite nicely for the blokes. So I think that it does need winding, and that's kind of why I haven't started them. Haven't finished my nieces yesterday evening. I didn't want to wind the yarn, so yeah. However, I've also got a second pair of socks I'd like to work on. So RowRow and Kades, so Kelly, design behind that, is doing a 2-year sock knit along, and the idea is every 2 months you knit a pair of socks. So it started in May. Yeah, I haven't started in May. So it's May, June, and she chooses, it's specifically one of her patterns, and she's chosen the Daedalus socks pattern I already own. A sock pattern I love, and I've been getting, I want to knit them for ages. So this might be cut. So I want to get them cast on, actually to do it as a knit along, which kind of giving me a push. And I've chosen some yarn. So that I have hand wound. So you need 2 yarns, and mine, well, this is the first one, it doesn't look anything. If you watched my last podcast, you know that I had some yarn from the Discrete Unicorn, and I had 2 sock bags, one of which was pink to purple, and it was a double-stranded one. So I've actually wound, reach the other one, 2. I haven't washed it or anything, I've just wound it. So I have got those 2, and I'm going to pair it quite simply with some Yarn Smith's merino sock. I'm not even going to try and say the colour. It's called Royal Blue. I actually hand-wrote the colours onto them, and you can see they look quite nice there, and I think that worked really well with mosaic because it fades. That I'm desperate to cast on. I might be casting on tonight because I really want to cast these on. I really want to cast these on. So that's 3 things planned. I'd also quite like to cast on another cardigan for me, especially after the failure of my hexagon one. I'm thinking that I quite like the idea of, as if I can get it up. I've owned the pattern already. I don't know if it's on here or not. Sorry. Talk about yourself while I find the pattern, because this is kind of a... Yes. So it's the Tydes cardigan by the Crea. So it's got its patterning on it to give you a texture. I'm thinking of doing it in one colour, and I've got a yarn in mind with it, which is the... Pause, I'm going to find it. Right, I found the yarn I was thinking of using for that cardigan, and it's the Giddy Aunt yarns that I'd got. That is called Strut, and it's merino mohair singles. So it's a mixture of merino mohair, 400 meters. So yes, that's the colourway and information. And as I say, I think that is going to be beautifully light, and I think it's not going to need anything. That pattern will show it off quite nicely. I think I've got 4 of them in there. I think there's 4. I'm a bit rattly, sorry. They've been living up on my shelf, waiting for the right thing to come along. So again, I'd quite like to start that. Yeah. Might go, I've got to finish something before I do that. But hey, I might just start it. It makes I feel like it, because I know what I'm like. I know exactly what I'm like, so yeah. So the final thing is I want to pick up another whip and work on trying to have it as an ongoing project to try and finish. And this is where I want your help. I'd love the community to watch this, or people who watch this, to choose which whip I work on. So I've dug out 3 whips. 2 are from my 12 cast-ons this year, and 1 is an older whip that I'm not sure if I cast on last year or the year before. It is on my Ravelry to find the date, but yeah. So I'm going to show you all 3, and then I'd love it if you'd in the comments tell me which one you want me to work on first. So I think the easiest way is for me to just grab a project bag, work out what's in it and tell you about it. So my first one is in this project bag. It's a camper van one. This was from my local yarn store. And I think that's someone who makes it. And which one's in here? Oh, okay. That's a yarn cozy. It's 2 yarn cozies. And some minis. Okay. You can tell this is old because it's on Knit Pro needles. It's got needles are held together. This needs a really good block because it's creased. If I just hold it, I don't know how well I can hold it out actually. And I don't want to lose it, that's the only problem. You can just sort of see it there. It's a shawl. It's called, what is it called? So I bought this as a kit from Attic Spin Dye at Buxton 3 years ago, I think. I'll find the check out the details in a second. Here we are. It's called My Summer Song. So that's the picture, what it will look like. By Malia Designs, or Lisa Haynes, who is Lisa Haynes rather. I loved this made up. I did choose the colours. So in my bag, not only have I got these 3 colours, I've got some more minis. 2. We've got blue. I'm trying to work out what colours are in here. So those are my other colours, I think. And then I've got another purple, which is not an Attic Spin Dye. I think it's a mini set from my Yarny Corner. I nabbed that from to do the edging, because the edging needs a little bit more than it gives you. So I bought, let's have a look. Let's look on my Ravelry and find out. Let's filter my projects by whips. Okay, I've got it. I bought it at Buxton in 2022, the kit. I started the shawl in June 23. I'm not sure I've done a lot over the last, I think I've touched it for over 12 months. Yeah. So that is project 1, is to get this back out and get a work on it and try and get it finished. So if you think I should work on this, then the word will be summer. Okay. A bit of random yarn, that's not the part of it. So that's project 1. Project 2, and that's the oldest whip of these. This is project 2, is to pick up the, oh look, here we are. It's got some dangly noisy bits on it, sorry. You just see there. So this is the Tessello Cowl by Nikki Griffin of Beanie Boats Designs, and this was one of my 12 cast-ons, and I can tell you, I can't remember who the main colour was, but I think the main colour might have been All Warehouse, but it was one of their nice yarns. It was a custom type one. These are the minis from the Yarn Badger, and it was a mystery mini sket, and there's, as I say, the 5 purples. I've only got 4 in there because the 5th one's on there. It's quite doubly dangly. I've used some markers that are labelled 20, 40, 60, 80 and 100 to mark my 5 skeins so that I know which order they go in. So that's number 2, and if you think I should work on that, then the words, I'm going to say Tessello, but that's It might be a bit difficult. Yeah, we'll go with Tessello. So that's the second project I've got to work on. The third shawl was also one of my 12 cast-ons, and is the Cloudbreak. That's the picture of the Cloudbreak. And that's by Melanie Berg. So this one is in this nice bag here, which was from Yarn Badger. And this one I've not got very far. You can just see the start of it there. Yes, I am showing the right side. So it's a garter stitch with a bit of a slip stitch pattern. I'm going to say that much. However, I don't have enough of the main colour for this. I'm short. I can't remember how much by, but I am short on the main colour of this, I know. Which is why I'm putting an extra colour repeating. And this is in a grey, which is from Knit Anarchy, that I know I bought at the Christmas yarn show, Christmas haul show in Birmingham last year. And then some very deep stash, which is this peacock gradient. So you can see it that way. You see where I'm pulling from. And that's from Pook. She's just Pook now. She used to be Pook GB. She's now just Pook. She now relocated to Denmark. And yeah, doesn't dye as much now anyway. It certainly is nowhere near as active as she was. And this is Blueface, Leicester and Silk, whereas the others are Merino Nylon. So yes, I'm putting a bit extra of this in because I know that I'm tight on my yardage of the other one. And if necessary, I'll end up casting off in the last of deep purple. So this one is Cloudbreak. So if you think I should work on my Cloudbreak, then the word to use is cloud. So it's either cloud, or it's summer, or it's Tessello. So yeah, please tell me which one to pick up and work on, because if I leave it to my head, it'll just go, I can bounce everywhere and do everything. I need to focus on one. And what I'm going to say is I'm going to randomly pick someone who responds to the request for help, and somebody will be receiving this skein of yarn. It's a noodle soup yarn, and the colourway is Zombie. I think I got this in a swap at Christmas with my knit group one yet, because it's definitely got some Christmassy stitch markers. But seeing as we've got, so you've got snowman, you've got a Christmas tree and a bell. But seeing as we've got Christmas in July coming up, I think, yeah, be great for that. So what I'm going to say is I'm not going to start one of those until after I record next time, which will be in 3 weeks again. So we're looking at about the 27th of June. So by the 27th of June, as I say, should I work on summer, my summer song, the Cloudbreak or the Tessello? So summer, cloud or Tessello. Let me know. I'll work out which is the most popular, and as I say, I will ask my friend in the corner to randomly choose somebody to receive the skein of yarn. So yeah, acquisitions. Yeah, I know I said I needed to slow down on the yarn buying. So I've got a little bag. First one, I'm not going to do more than that because I'm not showing you what's in this bag, because I've not looked at what's in this bag. You can see it's Christmassy themed. This is from Spin and Blether, and it's her self-striping advent sock for this year. I'm absolutely amazed to have received it this soon. However, it is going to stay in the bag, it's going to stay sealed, and I will be opening it in December. Well, no, I'll be opening it in November to wind it. So that's the first one. As I said, I was on holiday. Let's do holiday first, yeah. So I was up in Bridlington. On the way back, it would have been rude not to have stopped at a yarn shop. So I didn't actually buy any yarn while I was on holiday. I did go into the wool shop in town. It was very much what I can get locally. There wasn't anything special. I did go into boys. We don't have one in Derby area. Again, nice yarn selection. Nothing that grabbed me, spoke to me, said, this is my holiday yarn. So I didn't get any yarn. On the way back, I know that the Yarn Badger, Elizabeth, has opened a physical shop in her workspace. It's open Fridays and Saturdays. So it's at the Rother Valley Country Park. I'd seen the signs on the way there and I was like, oh, okay. Looked it up while I was away. On the way back, worked out. Actually, it was a really nice point to stop. Gave me a break without having to stop at services for a loo or anything, which was lovely. Did have to pay parking and entrance, but that's fine. So I did go into her shop and I got a little bag. Not very much. So I got a summer fruits minis. So we've got 6 minis. They're all 20 grams. And they're actually merino cashmere and nylon, and the colours are lovely. I suspect it will go in some sort of mosaic cowl, very similar to what I'm doing at the moment. Although actually somebody did suggest brioche, which I'm thinking maybe do some sort of brioche continuous thing, make it into a loop. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but they're just lovely. I think with the cashmere on my neck, they'll be lovely as well. So yeah, so I did get that. And as I said last time, I absolutely love a little, let's put it back in the bag. So they're only cellophane. I am keeping the cellophane for now. Love a little mystery. She had these lovely little rainbow packages by the till. They really were a few pounds. They were nothing. And I've got a little mini skein. It's a little 20 gram mini skein. It's greens and purples. Don't know what it'll be in. Don't know what it's going to go in. But for what it was, yeah. So that's that one. So then when I came back, I'd got, oh, you've missed a parcel. Oh, great. Got the saga of trying to get the parcels. Great. But one of them, actually, it was only his first delivery, so he delivered on Saturday. Now, I am going to say, spoiler alert, if you are getting the monthly mini a day club from Cuddlebums Yarns, please look away if you've not received your parcel for June, because that's what this is. And it was very nicely wrapped up. So we've got the little Cuddlebums cardigan. This was all nicely sealed with these flowers, but I've ripped it open. And you can see in there my minis for June. As I say, this is for my blanket, which we haven't looked at for a few weeks. And as I say, it won't be done this year. If I can get it done for next year, I'd be relatively happy. I'm prepared to give it one more year. After that, I'd really like it done within 3. Now, the final acquisition was a bit of a whimsical buy. I say that. I've been seeing a lot of people, a fair few people I follow making the Lapif, which looks lovely, and I've just looked at it and gone, I really like the idea of that. Holding 2 skeins double, work through some stash. Great. Yeah. Sounds great. Did I get as far as looking through my stash and putting enough skeins together? No. Did I even do that? No. No. While I was on holiday, I really need to stop following Dyers because it's dangerous. It is so dangerous. But another of my favourite Dyers, Truly Hooked, Verity, had a bit of a mystery skeins. You could, as many as you wanted, in different bases. And she does a non-superwash base called, I want to say, Purino. Yeah. So it's merino, but it's not superwashed, and it's 4-ply. So I was like, well, if I get 6 of those, that should do me. Thinking of how much yarn I've used for other things, that should really nicely do me a cardigan, a Lapif. Might need to then look at getting a solid colour, depending on what she brings out. So I thought, well, we'll take a punt. Considering how reduced they were, we'll take a punt. The 6 will go together. So we have number 1, and this is Nocturnal. And as I say, these are all on the same base. Number 2, which is Watercolours. Can you see a theme in these colours? I didn't choose these. These were chosen for me. Number 3 is Loves Me Not. Number 4, hang on. I think this is number 4. I'm not quite sure on 3 and 4. Number 4. So we've still got those purples in there. And this is Spring Fling. Number 5 is from the her Roald Dahl collection, and it's Secret Plans and Clever Tricks. And number 6 is just called Alive. So my plan is whether I can do this. So hold these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Around 5, 6. Probably starting at this end through to that end. As I say, I might then need to find a non-superwash merino to do the ribbing in. But yes, that's that plan. I told you I've got lots of plans, but that's been put away. I am not starting that. I want the Tydes, and that's more of a summer cardigan. So, what's been happening in life? As I say, I've been on holiday. We went to Bridlington. We actually go every year as a whole family. So there was my sisters and my nieces. It was a really lovely time. A lot of chilling out, relaxing. Quite a bit of knitting time. As I said, I did the cardigan. I started Mum's. In fact, everything I've done on Mum's was done well with there. Did an awful lot of the hat. So yeah, that was great. It was really what I needed. The week in the run-up to the holiday was stressful, and this last week has been quite stressful. And that's work-related. So, as I say, I work in healthcare. I don't work... I do NHS work, but I'm not employed by the NHS. So I'm a contractor, and I work for the company that holds the contract. And in a nutshell, the contract runs for 5 years, and the last 5-year one finished at the end of May. The local commissioners decided not to renew with the people who had that contract, but to award it to a new company. As myself and my colleagues are all employed for that contract, our jobs disappeared, in a nutshell. However, we then all had the option of transferring, and there's various government regulations that protected us, and we've all transferred, or basically transferred to the new people. So obviously the week before I went on holiday was my last week working for one company, so it was all the kind of last minute bits, making sure I got everything I needed, anything I needed to access on my systems, etc. And this last week, since Monday, has been training, and it's lots and lots and lots of training. It's like anywhere where you start a new job, you effectively are starting a new job, where I'm having to go in and go, right, I don't know anything, having to learn a whole new system, having to do all their training, which is different to other people's. All the terminology is, or a lot of terminology is just, everything's slightly different. It feels slightly different. It feels odd. That's probably the best way to put it at the moment. So yeah, quite often I've been coming home in the evenings and I'm just dead. My brain has gone, not doing it tonight. So I've really not done very much knitting this week. Well, I've knit sock. I've needed simple knitting on the nights that I've been able to knit, because some nights I just get home and I haven't even had the headspace to knit, which I hate. I'm hoping it's going to calm down. Saying that, I know the next couple of weeks are going to be hard, but that's what it is. However, I do have the positivity to look forward and think, do you know what? I've got a week and a half. I have a week and a half, and then I'm going to the Lake District for a few days, which I'm looking forward to. I'll be taking some knitting. I will need to work on some knitting. I'm going to be massive behind on socks, but I need to work on some knitting. So yeah, I'll probably take something then and work on it. Quite possibly the crochet baby blanket, because that deadline's creeping up, as is the elephant's deadline. Yeah, I look at these deadlines and I go, and I want to start something new, and I'm like, yeah, because I need nice fibres. But yeah, so yeah, there's quite a bit going on there. As I say, I'm hoping by the end of June that I'll have a bit more headspace and be able to pick up one of these shawls, but we'll see. However, I have, on a more positive note, managed to swim more since I recorded last. The week before I went away, I managed to swim a couple of times. This week, despite the training, actually it's been really good to get up and swim beforehand. My job is quite physical. I'm normally up and down and walk 4,000 or 5,000 steps just at work. If I've managed 2,000 some days, that's amazing, because it's just so quiet and we're not walking that much. But yeah, back to physical normal work next week, and hopefully in a few weeks it'll settle and everything will be fine again. Fingers crossed. It's like anything, there's teething troubles, but yeah. So yeah, it's a bit chaotic there. There's not much more to say really about anything else that's going on in my life. As I say, that's been an awful lot of stress in the run up to it. Had a break. This week's been hard, but actually in a very different way. And I very much feel more supported now than I did before. So this is, I think, we've done a long time, but never mind. So yeah, as I say, I'll be back in 3 weeks, because 2 weeks time I'll be in the Lake District. I would have gotten some lakes. I would have done some swimming. I will be lovely and calm. So hopefully I'll have finished some things, gifted some bits, got some socks done. Probably not decided what I'm going to do with that cardigan, because at the moment it's just in the naughty corner. I haven't got the headspace for it, and I'm not going to have headspace for it for a little bit, I think. But when I get there, I'll get there. So in the meantime, I hope your plans, your life goes well. Knitting carries on well. Please tell me which shawl to pick up next time. And I say, if you tell me, you're in the winning to win that skein of yarn. I'm going to say I'm only going to post in the UK just because of cost of postage. However, should the person who gets picked live abroad, we'll arrange something, whether it's paying for someone local to deliver something, whether it's a pattern on Ravelry. So yeah, stay safe, stay well. Hope your knitting goes well. Hope your stitching and everything stays fine. And I'll see you in 3 weeks' time. Bye.